All right, workout for October 11th. We're gonna do our general warm-up, of course, and then activation, we're gonna start with an alternating step out and a bridge. So laying on your back, I'm gonna lift up into a bridge. I'm gonna, again, lift up really high and then take a step out with my left, and then right, and then right, and then left. So I'm alternating my step, just like I would on a box. And where you start matters. So if I start in here and step out to here, it's hard. If I start here and step out to here, it's even harder. If I start here and step out to here and back in, harder. So the further out my legs, the harder it is. There is a workout where we step, or a movement where we step all the way out to straight legs. So we're just shortening that and moving the hips around. But definitely play with where you start and how far you step out. You're gonna do 30 of those. So just like a step up, out, out, in, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, every time you go out, it counts as 1. Okay, so, and then we're gonna do reverse tabletop lifts. So this is also probably a little bit new. I'm gonna sit on the floor just like I would if I was sitting and relaxing, sitting at the beach. I'm going to make sure that my fingers are facing out away from me, so left and right my fingers are facing. It is possible to turn them in or all the way back, but this is more of a neutral position. So if you find a better position for your shoulders, that's fine. I'm going to then lift up my chest. I want to bring my shoulder blades together and my chest up. So my shoulders here are back and down technically if my chest is lifted. From there, I'm going to lift up nice and slow, stretch out the shoulders and back down. This is not a glute exercise. So I don't want you to worry about getting all the way to the top. We do that with our couch thrusters. With this one, we're warming up the mobility in our shoulder and the durability in our shoulder. It's not about the glutes. So it is not about getting all the way flat, especially if you've never done this before. So again, tall chest, lift up. So that's where I stop. That's where my shoulders are tight. I can push it and get my hips up from here, but what's gonna happen is it either gonna hurt my shoulder or I'm gonna internally rotate my shoulder and then lift up. So right now my shoulders are internally rotated. This is not what I'm going for. I want them open and lifted and then lifting up. So you're just gonna do 30 lifts, trying to keep your chest tall. If you need to rest, go ahead and rest and then reset and then lift. Again, I cannot emphasize enough trying to keep your chest up so that your shoulder blades are together as opposed to internally rotated like this, okay? Because then you're not helping anybody. Then you're gonna do 30 down dog shrugs. So that is this movement where we're lifting up our shoulders. If you've never done this, you should do this here to practice. So arms overhead just like this with no weight, lifting up and then letting them come down. You're probably not gonna be able to fully depress them, but you can at least do the elevation part. So just getting them to move and understand and connect. If you're not used to moving them, there might be a disconnect in the brain. So I'm gonna go into down dog, which is to start A-frame. So it's plank with my hips piped. So from there, I'm just gonna drop my head and relax. I'm gonna let myself hang heavy, sort of like a non-active down dog, and then active, good down dog, resting, active. So you're gonna do 30 shrugs. Take your time with this one. Don't try to go really quick with them. Try to do the full movement. And then you're gonna do down dog toe taps. So again, in downward facing dog, rest after those taps, and then you're gonna reach and touch the opposite foot with the opposite hand. So you're gonna do 30 of those. All right, the fifth part of your activation is going to be a front scale, back scale, and I want you to do 3 rounds. So front scale, back scale on the left, front scale, back scale on the right, that's 1 round. So you're gonna end up doing 3 rounds on the left, 3 rounds on the right. It's okay if you wanna do all 3 rounds of the left and all 3 rounds of the right together, or if you wanna alternate. Sometimes your calf and your leg are so on fire and burning that it feels nice to alternate that. When you do this, I do want you to hold the top position, front and back scale, for at least a second. So a 1/1000. Hold it for a good position, maybe a little bit longer if you can. Even just 3 seconds really isn't that long, but it's enough in these poses. So front scale and back scale is also, in yoga, we call it like standing big toe pose, and then like warrior 3. So I'll start with the front scale. So I'm gonna pick my knee up into my chest. This hip is definitely lifted as I'm in this position. My arms are overhead, and this would be like a modified position here. The full pose is with your foot out toe pointed. As you do that, if you're tight, your foot might be down here, but it's still as high as I can go. I'm still lifting my hips, so I'm not resting into the standing leg. And what I'm doing is pulling my chest towards my leg. So without leaning forward, usually people lean back. So what the cue I would say is to think about pulling your chest towards your leg and standing up really, really tall. That's gonna make your quad light up. So what I would do is bring the knee up, hold for 1,000, and then switch to your back scale. Once your legs go back here, I'll give you the option of having, I'm gonna fall, giving your hands behind you or in front of you. Your heart's gonna raise a little bit higher if your arms are in front of you. I'd like them here, but if you need them back here, that's fine. So back scale, again, holding for 1 second at least. In this position, only this leg is bent. So this leg is straight, I'm lifting up. The only thing you want to think of here is extension. So if I was doing Superman on my belly and arch, I'd be lifting everything up. So that's that position. And then you're going to go back, front scale, 1,000. This is where everything is straight. So straight leg lifting up, and then going back. The only thing here, again, this leg can bend. So front scale, back scale. If you want to stay on that one side, you do front back, front back, front back, and then do the other side, front back, front back, front back, front back. Or you can alternate legs. So just do front and back on that leg, and then do front and back on this leg, and that would be 1 full round. You're gonna do, again, 3 of those. That's just gonna prime you for the warm-up. Those are also good to do just in general for your posture, for strengthening everything. They're incredibly hard. They look like nothing, but you're gonna light up. Your quad, if you're not used to doing straight leg work, is going to cramp up a little bit because you might not used to be doing, like I said, straight leg strength work. So if I'm doing, say, like squats and lunges, my leg, even though it's straight here, is usually off. So it's not really doing anything. So these are different positions than being straight and being on. So it is going to be sore like it never has before. Okay, then the actual WOD, I'll give you the option of 3 to 4 rounds. So this might be your energy level, this might be the weights that you have, this might be how much time you have. That's gonna determine your 3 to 4 rounds. You're gonna do 30 seconds or a 30 count of reverse wall plank. These are no joke. You'll be sore the next day from these. So I'm gonna stand up, pull my elbows behind me, just like I would for a row. So that means elbows back, elbows pretty much together, so I don't want them winging out to the side, and then shoulders also back. I'm gonna walk up to my wall till they touch. Once they touch, I'm just gonna take a half a step. So I'm not even going in front of this foot. I'm just taking a little step forward, a few inches, and then I'm going to push away from the wall. So hips forward, chest forward, shoulder blades squeeze together. I'm trying to push away from the wall with my elbows. I know my hips are forward, but it's obviously not as much hips as it is elbows pushing away from the wall. Like I said, super good to correct some mobility issues back there, and you will be for sure sore tomorrow. If you typically do rows and you don't feel it in your back when you do them, that's also gonna help that as well. So a 30-second count, you might count faster than 30 seconds, that's okay. It is enough, you're gonna feel it. Then you're gonna do 20 alternating thrusters, lunge thrusters. So I'm gonna hold the weights in the front rack position, so they're not on my shoulders, they're in front of my body, but this dumbbell does rest on my front delt, elbows up at about 45 degrees. So not here where I'm doing nothing, and obviously not out where I would for like a front squat. It's 45 degrees. I'm gonna step back and do a lunge, and then push the weights overhead, bring them back to my shoulders, lunge, thruster, lunge, thruster. So I bring them back either here and then step back, or you can bring them down as you step back and then press up, all right? So it's 20 total. So every time you step back, it counts. You got 20 of those. Then I'm gonna do 40 alternating handstand climbs. I really like these. You definitely have to figure out your distance away from the wall, but usually if you stand up against the wall and you put your hands down on the floor, that's a good position. So I'm going to, from there, step up and down, and then I'm gonna take this foot off and then go right back up because we're alternating. So there's 1, 2. You can also jump if you want to. So that is okay. Like I said, after you do a couple or in the warm-up as you're practicing, you should always practice the actual WOD, doing about 10 reps of each to find your weight before you actually like begin your timer. And you're gonna kind of find a distance that you like where you have enough space to get your legs up and enough distance for the hamstrings. So you're gonna do 40 of those. Every time you go up into a full handstand position, that counts as 1. So it'll be like 20 and 20, right? And then the last one is gonna be 10 and 10, lunge to a high knee. I'm saying 10 and 10 because you're probably not gonna alternate your legs here. So I'm gonna let the weights hang by my side, or they can go back to this clean position, but they can be wherever you want for this one. I'm gonna go lunge to high knee. And again, I'm gonna stay on one side. What I want you to focus on here is that same thing we did with our front scale, is really pushing this leg straight and not just resting and like swinging your knee up. Shoulders are back as I do this, just like I did for my wall, my reverse wall plank. And like I said, do 10 on the left, 10 on the right. It's really quick, moving the body around. Definitely gonna get the heart rate up. Yeah, that's your workout for October 11th.